Hey guys, welcome to Real Life of a Teacher. I'm Claire, and today I'm going to share with you my middle school nonfiction book collection. So as I'm sure you can tell, I am in my classroom, so it's a little bit of a different setting than usual, but it is of course where I spend a great deal of my time. I'm in on a Sunday, so real life of a teacher, this is like me on a Sunday, and I was pulling books off of my bookshelves and out of our school library for the nonfiction reading unit that we're going to be starting next week, and I thought that I would share with you the books that I currently have that my students really like. Then I may do part 2 because I ordered, I think, maybe 10 new books for this unit that's starting up, so I'm waiting for those ones in the mail. So if you want a part 2 with some more titles, let me know. So the books that I have are in no particular order. I will share with you the title, the author, and I'll also share with you the Lexile level. Remember that these are for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. I have a huge range of different levels of readers, which is true for any classroom, but especially when we have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders all in one. So hopefully there is something in here that is helpful for you. The first one that I have is The Great and Only Barnum. It's by Candace Fleming. She is a really good author. I have a couple by her. This one is obviously about the circus folks. And this one is a 980 Lexile. So not terribly hard. It's got lots of pictures and drawings, and so it's a fun one that has lots of graphic sources. This is one of the most popular nonfiction books we have at school. This is an autobiography. This is called Soul Surfer by Bethany Hamilton. It's about a girl who is surfing and she gets bit by a shark and she loses her arm, and it's all about her recovery and work after that. This is a 960, and this I think because it's an autobiography, so the perspective from which it's written, it really is one that draws students in. Here we have the Family Romanov. I don't have the cover for this one. I don't think I ever even, I think I bought this used without the cover. This is called The Family Romanov. It is by Candace Fleming. It is written at a 950 Lexile, and it is about the family Romanov, the Russian royalty. Like Anastasia, the Disney movie, is how I usually hook my middle schoolers into it. This one has a lot of characters, so I've had students make character, family trees basically as they read this to help them keep track of that. But the sort of mystery involved with that family is a real draw for students to read this book. Here we have Amelia Lost. This is another one by Candace Fleming. This is a 930 Lexile, and it is about Amelia Earhart, of course, right? So the kids, she's an interesting historical figure, so I have a lot of girls who really enjoy reading about her. So here we have Lincoln's Grave Robbers. This is one by Steve Sheinkin. This is at a 930 Lexile, and this is a story about, it's a story I had never heard before, and it's the Secret Service arrests this counterfeiter named Benjamin Boyd, and his sort of ring of counterfeiters. They go and dig up Lincoln's body and hold it ransom basically until they release their leader. So a really interesting story, not something that I had ever heard about before, so kind of cool in that way. This book is called Chasing Lincoln's Killer. It's by James L. Swanson. This is a 980, and this is a young reader's edition of Manhunt, which was a really popular book about, obviously, chasing Lincoln's killer, right? We're not, nothing too discreet about that, but it is about the hunt for John Wilkes Booth. This book is a little bit of a challenge. It's longer than some of my other nonfiction books. This is called Charles and Emma, The Darwins' Leap of Faith. It's by Deborah Heigelman, and it is about the conflict that the Darwins were facing as religious people. Emma was particularly religious, and the scientific discoveries that he was coming up with. So this is a 1020 Lexile. On AR, I want to say, it puts it at like an 8.6 grade level, so it is a little bit more challenging. But for students who have the reading skills to get through this, I think it's a really fascinating read. All right, so another really popular one with my students is Witches, The Absolutely True Tale of Disaster in Salem. It's by Rosalind Shanzer. It's a slightly shorter one, so students feel they can have some pretty efficient success with it. It is an 1190 Lexile. So for my 8th graders, this is a pretty quick read. This is a fun one. This is also a really popular one. Probably you can tell that just by the title. It's Stuff That Scares Your Pants Off by Glenn Murphy, and each chapter is about like a different scary thing. So let's see what the chapters are here. We've got Wild and Scary Wildlife, Natural Disasters, Doctors, Dentists, and Deadly Diseases. So just sort of fun stories throughout. And this is a 1210, and yeah, this is a popular one. If a kid forgets their book during our nonfiction reading unit, this is a one that if it's in the classroom, kids will pick up just to read a section of, and not have to totally, get into a new book or abandon their old one. They can read it a little bit at a time. This is Claudette Colvin by Philip Hoos. This is a 1000 Lexile. This is a really interesting story. It's about a girl in Montgomery, Alabama, who refuses to give up her seat on a bus. And it's like right before Rosa Parks had her similar situation, except that instead of being praised, and like we still talk about Rosa Parks, right? She was an incredible woman. Claudette Colvin was instead sort of pushed to the side by her peers. She was, I'm trying to remember, I haven't read this in a while. Yeah, but it says here on the back, she's shunned by her classmates and dismissed by community leaders. So a different story than the ones that we always hear. Oh yeah, so this again, I don't have the cover for, but this is the Young Readers edition of Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. So this one is written at an 850 Lexile, which is way, way, way lower than the adult version, which is great because the kids, saw the movies, they had older siblings reading the adult version of the novel, or their parents were, or I was, and other teachers were, so they were hearing about that and they wanted the story, but it was just at a text that was not really reasonable for them to try and push through. I love when they put books out at that Young Readers version. I think that is so wonderful. This is another really interesting one. This is called Phineas Gage, a gruesome but true story about brain science. This is by John Fleischman. This is written at a 1030 Lexile, and this is a really interesting story about a man who got a railroad spike through his head. It sort of went behind his eye. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. In Vermont, and they were able to do a lot of studies. Oh yeah, here it is. Half of the iron bar. They were able to do a lot of brain science studies because it was impacting that one specific part of his brain where the spike went through, but he was still functioning in other ways. So a science-heavy book, but a really interesting story. And here we have Bomb. This is another book by Steve Sheinkin. This is about, it says, the race to build and steal the world's most dangerous weapon. So this is during World War II. I find that a lot of students are really interested in World War II, so that's a good hook for this. It is somewhat science heavy as well, which can make for some kids to get totally into it and other kids to struggle a little bit with it. So thinking about the audience here. This is a 920 Lexile. These next two are some really popular ones that I got last year. They're both by Georgia Bragg. One is called How They Croaked, and the other is How They Choked. How They Choked is about some famous people and how they died, and How They Croaked is famous people messing up, I guess. How They Croaked is 950 Lexile. How They Choked is 1010. Each chapter is about a different person, so it allows students to sort of pick it up and put it back down if they've forgotten their book, or if they just, want a quick little nonfiction read. They really enjoy these because they're written in a really fun and interesting way. This is one that I grabbed because I was really excited about it. I still haven't read it, but the student who read it last year did enjoy it. It's called Trapped. It's by Mark Aronson. This is a 1070 Lexile, and it is about the miners in Chile who got trapped in the mine when it collapsed for, let's see, I can't remember how long. I don't even remember, and it's not saying it on here very nicely for me, but this book is written sort of day by day, hour by hour, as they're trapped under the earth, so I think that perspective could make it a really fun read. This is one of my favorites. This one I read last year as my students were reading. I always make sure that I'm reading at least one. So this is The Notorious Benedict Arnold. It is another one by Steve Sheinkin. It is a 990 Lexile, and it is all about Benedict Arnold. And you find out a lot about his history and sort of how he comes to be the notorious version of himself that we talk about now in modern times. This is a fantastic book. It moves perspectives. We get some from John Andre, we get some from Benedict Arnold. This is a great read. I particularly like when I have students read this in the year that we're doing U.S. history, obviously, in social studies. These two books are from a series called A Wicked History, and these are the only two ones that we have. I hadn't seen them in our library before this year, so I don't know if they're new to us or what. Let's see. They were published, oh come on, in 2010, so no, maybe they're just new to our library. This one is about Alexander the Great, and this one is about Julius Caesar, and we're doing ancient civilizations as our social studies curriculum this year, so I'm hoping I have some students pick up some of these. Oh, and Julius Caesar is a 1030 Lexile, and Alexander the Great is 960. So these look interesting. I saw some reviews online that made it look promising. All right, so thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, give it a thumbs up. If you have any other book suggestions for me, please, I'd love to hear those in the comments. And I will probably do part 2 coming up pretty soon when I'm getting my newer nonfiction books as well. Thanks for watching. Charles and Emma. It is by Deborah I'm so bad with last names. Heiligman. I don't know how to say it.